Hello and welcome to another episode of Consensus with Canonizer. My name is Jim Bennett and I am here with Kelly Cassidy. Kelly, how are you?
Somber.
I don't blame you. So we recorded an episode last week, and it was on the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And it was an episode about crime. And I felt like we shouldn't post it because it was, the world has changed since then. And the things we were discussing have been radically altered in terms of the landscape as to where we find ourselves as a nation. And so, Kelly, you had suggested this podcast. Can you sort of outline what it is you think we ought to be talking about now?
Sure. I'll just go to the Canonizer homepage here. And if you go to the front screen, it'll be the first one that comes up right there. Can social media's problems be solved? And I guess a bigger issue is social media a problem? And I, like in my mind, I think that there's been enough information shared in the last week that social media does have some issues that we need to address. Can we build consensus on that at least?
Yeah, I think we can. I would like to do that. The difficulty that we're having now is that the conversation in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder has been so explosive and so divisive in so many ways. And social media is throwing fuel on the fire in ways that really ought to be terrifying to just about anybody. And I don't know what the answer is, but I have had people, I personally have been threatened. I'm going to try to pull this up here. So in terms of social media, I am fairly active on social media. I am active on Facebook, but I'm also active on Twitter, or X as it's called now. And I had stopped posting on X, but I have since decided that it's probably an appropriate thing to do because that seems to be where the conversation is taking place. And the difficulty we're having here is that rather than coming together, rather than building consensus, the entire conversation has been about who to blame and what to do about the people that we're blaming. And it's really kind of terrifying to hear some of it. I mean, here's, for instance, this doesn't have anything to do with Charlie Kirk, but I'm going to share this. This was a topic of discussion right after Charlie Kirk was murdered, and I found this sort of terrifying. Have you seen this? Can you see my screen?
I don't see your screen. Let me remove my thing.
Okay, here's my screen. Okay, so here's a clip, and I am going to enlarge it.
I know what it is.
You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up.
Okay, so did you catch that?
Just in passing. It was wrong.
Well, there is something that so I posted, this is now considered acceptable political discourse. I don't recognize this country anymore. And if you look down here, this has been viewed 86,000 times, my post. Do you know why?
Because people don't like you.
No, because I was reposted by George Conway.
Huh.
And then I was reposted by Morgan Fairchild.
Oh, Morgan Fairchild. Oh.
Morgan Fairchild, my wife, Morgan Fairchild. So that was kind of exciting. But, just independent of any of, nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Well, maybe everything to do with Charlie Kirk. But what happens whenever anybody goes on social media to discuss difficult topics is that things get more and more divisive, things get more and more vicious, and it's really kind of frustrating. And we're seeing to some degree, well, I don't want to indict the president or come after the president, because I think it's a problem everywhere. I mean, because I know that a lot of people on the right are very upset about what they perceive as celebration of Charlie Kirk's death. That there are people who are celebrating the fact that this man was murdered. I think that that accusation is vastly overstated. I haven't seen a single mainstream Democrat doing that. And all of the elected officials have been acting responsibly. Some of the first people that came out with statements were people like Barack Obama, people like Joe Biden, people like Hillary and Bill Clinton, coming out condemning the violence unequivocally. But the divide here is so wide and so deep that, we've got to find a better way to be able to deal with this. I mean, here's one of the things that was posted today by Laura Loomer. You know Laura Loomer?
Uh-huh.
You cannot be kind to your enemy. I just hope people come to realize this soon. You have to be vicious. There's nothing wrong with being vicious for the sake of saving our country. And of course, you can see my snarky little commentary above. Yeah, Jesus is so passé. Some excerpts from the Loomer on the Mount. What do we do, Kelly? How do we deal with this?
Well, I wanted to talk about the social media. I know that there's just a general level of intolerance in response to what you just said. Like, I don't want to make this a political thing, but both Josh Shapiro and Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman have both come out and said the rhetoric on the left has to tone it down. But like, I don't want to get into that. I want to get into what, and maybe this isn't the problem, but it's something that Utah Governor Spencer Cox has been saying recently about the causes of Charlie Kirk's murder. He said, he put it almost squarely on the shoulders of social media. And I don't want to just sit and quote him, but I think it's important. I'm just going to read it verbatim here. This is Governor Cox on Meet the Press last Sunday. I believe that social media has played a direct role in every single assassination and assassination attempt we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. There is no question in my mind. Cancer probably isn't a strong enough word. What we have done to our kids, it has taken us a decade to understand how evil these algorithms really are. And then he talked about people now on social media are addicted to outrage and blame social media companies for supplying it. I can't emphasize enough the damage that social media and the internet is doing to all of us. Some of the most powerful companies in the history of the world have figured out how to hack our brains, get us addicted to outrage, which is the same type of dopamine, the same chemical you get from taking fentanyl, to get us to hate each other. And then I've gone and looked at some other things from other experts talking about the dangers of social media, particularly to young minds. Now, one thing I do is I teach a high school class, and it's like going through withdrawal, trying to get students to put their phone down, even though now it's officially against the law in Utah to have phones in class. Like some of the issues that have been brought up, UC Davis. I've tried to find a cross section of political thought here. UC Davis found social media use increases feelings of anxiety and depression. Yale University found a majority of the false stories on the internet are spread by a very small number of frequent users. Boston University found social media channels exacerbate political polarization, and Northwestern University claims a algorithmic bias has hijacked social learning. Social learning is what we all do, but it's especially important in schools where kids learn what's cool by looking at their friends or by talking with their friends. Whereas now it's spending 8 hours and seeing what influencers think is cool. And then the Rand Corporation issued a study on information manipulation. But the National Institutes of Health have pointed out that there are both good and bad things that can happen with social media to adolescents and children. And so, like, what I'd like to talk about, but I'm willing to do anything else, is how to ensure that social media's positive impacts increase while the negative impacts go away. How do we keep the promise of free speech on social media? Because, like, the obvious easy way out is, well, ban this person from saying something. And as kind of a constitutional absolutist here, somebody who supports every amendment, you don't want to do that. And how can social media be changed so that people from different backgrounds can be viewed as real people and not mortal enemies?
Well, you're asking that, and it sounds like a rhetorical question, but I think there actually is an answer to it.
Well, I have an answer too. Let's see if we got the same answer and build a consensus on that.
Share your answer, if you would.
I think we need more sites like Canonizer that can go out and get people to talk about their problems, not shoot their problems or get so ingrained in one narrow view of what everybody else in the world is like that they can't see anybody else other than the enemy. Like, Jim, I think you and I have a lot of disagreements on politics, but I also think that we agree on a lot more than we disagree on. But the disagreements become the things that get people to watch. It's not the hey, I agree on that. I agree on that too. It's, well, I hate you for that, and you hate me on this. F you, Jim.
It's much better television if you do it that way. I mean, we are able to disagree and still be friends. And I want to share with you, in the wake of Charlie Kirk, these are the kinds of things that have been terrifying to me. This was one of the first things I posted was Charlie Kirk's murder is unconscionable, full stop. My heart breaks for his wife and young children. I fear this is going to escalate into more ugliness than the country can handle. And somebody I don't know, using an anonymous name, I don't think his real name is Captain Mohanrai, said, yet you will still vote for the people behind the rhetoric and policies that killed him. You are officially my enemy. I mean, this is, in stark terms, in black and white, we are drawing lines that divide us rather than try to bring us together. And the beauty of Canonizer is that we can talk about very difficult issues, and the focus is always on the idea, not the person. That takes so much of the venom out of the discussion, because so often when you talk to people with differing ideas, it devolves into, well, you're a terrible person and you are the worst person who's ever lived. And it just becomes invective. And the ideas that you're trying to defend sort of fall by the wayside, because emotion takes over, anger takes over, venom takes over, and the discussion falls apart. And
I like Venom. I think he's a funny character on the movies.
Well, yeah. And I wonder if he posts on social media. I think he probably does. All of these guys do. But with Canonizer, you can join a camp that best represents your point of view. And then you can actively advocate for that camp. Try to get people to join you, try to get collective engagement, and you don't spend any time in that camp trashing the people that are in the other camps. I suppose you could, but there are enough people that are trying to build consensus that the camp statement will reflect the group's ideas. If one person tries to sort of hijack the statement in order to say, well, I just want to say that so-and-so and so-and-so is a jerk, they have to get everybody in the camp to agree to that. And they're not willing to do that for the most part. So this, I think, this whole event, the whole idea of social media just highlights, I think, just how essential Canonizer and the Canonizer approach is. Do we have consensus on that point?
I concede.
You concede. Well, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, yeah. I'm just going to say amen to everything you just said. There's got to be a way for people to once again get out into the world and talk to their neighbors. And the nice thing about the internet is your neighbor can be any place. Your neighbor can be somebody living 4,000 miles away, and you can find things that you have in common with them. Where, in the old days, you'd go sit on your front porch swing and chat with your neighbors as they walked by about politics and religion and whatever else caused your bonnet to be full of whatever. I'm trying to think of old-timey sayings that I could fit in there. Come over and let's have something on the fire. We're gonna be cooking some crickets. But now it's so easy to get on the internet and just find the one group that you agree with, and then you go deeper and deeper and find more hate and dehumanization of everybody else in the world. It's just so sad. And like, I'm an old guy, so I can say, hey, kids these days. But
Yeah.
like, I really am. Like, I'm worried about kids. I guess my parents were worried about television. Maybe that's what it was. But television seemed to be a uniter, not a divider. Like, you had your 3 channels and they all said the same thing. And Walter Cronkite said something, and that's what America believed. And now it's 8 trillion channels of showing exactly how stupid whoever believes whatever Walter Cronkite dared say is. And how he should be shot, and anybody that agrees with him should be shot. Fortunately, Walter Cronkite has passed away, so he can't be shot. So that was a safe thing to say.
Well, there really is something to be said for what's been called the monoculture. We grew up in a world where there were 3 networks. I grew up in Southern California, and I thought it was really cool because we had Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 11, and Channel 13. So that's 7 channels. Oh, and then there was PBS, which was Channel 28. So that's 8 channels. And I thought that was amazing because growing up, when I was a little kid, I was born in Washington, D.C., lived in Arlington, Virginia, and we only had 5 channels there. And so
we had 6 in Utah when I was, I don't know, when I turned in and we got the Fox station. But so we were pretty big time.
Yeah, and I would plan my schedule around being sure that I was home on, I think it was Tuesday nights, to be able to watch Happy Days, because that was the show everybody watched. Fonzie was the coolest thing in the world, and if you missed it, you missed it. There were no VCRs. You had to wait until the summer and hope that it was rerun, but and that was just devastating to miss your TV show. Everybody had the same cultural touch points. Music was fairly monoculture. Movies were a monoculture, and politics to some degree. And I think that this has created to some degree some of the division. I was very much a young conservative and a young Republican, and I was very frustrated with the Walter Cronkites of the world because I felt like the monoculture was only giving the left a point of view. And I remember when Rush Limbaugh burst onto the scene, just how amazing that was, that there was an alternative voice to the left that was challenging the monoculture. Well, the internet has democratized information to the point where we have almost entirely the opposite point of view. What the internet has allowed us to do, it is not allowed for competing points of view so much as it has allowed for silos of separate realities. You know, we can live. It is so amazing to me in the wake of Charlie Kirk, the things that people are saying. There's never. I mean, somebody at one point said, "Can you imagine if a Democrat had been shot?" Somebody responded, "Yes, I can, because a Democrat was shot 3 months ago when the Minnesota Speaker of the House and her husband and her dog were murdered."
Yep.
By somebody on the right. You know, I mean, but it's like right now, everybody is siloed in their own reality. And they accept the facts they like, they ignore the facts they don't like. I mean, one of the things that I really love about Twitter at the moment is that people will say, well, this would never happen, and blah, blah, blah. There is a wonderful AI program on Twitter. You can say, Grok, is this accurate? And on again, Grok just sort of spews facts, and lots of people get very upset with that because the facts don't always support their position. And we don't have conversations where facts matter. We have conversations where passion matters, where anger matters, where the loudest voices are the most persuasive. And we don't ever create dialogue where people actually change their minds. Can you think of a single social media exchange where you have talked about a controversial idea and the person on the other side of it goes, wow, you convinced me?
Yes. My grammar has been corrected, and I've said, oh, well, thank you for that. I appreciate. No, I'm joking. It doesn't happen. And that's not the purpose of social media right now. It's to F you, not, hey, I like your thinking here, but look at from this angle.
Yeah. I mean, it's, hey, you're right. It's not the purpose of social media, but it should be the purpose of social media, or at least we need to get involved in projects and places where that is the purpose.
Yeah.
And that really is the purpose of this podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to demonstrate that what we are trying to build with Canonizer.com is a space where facts matter and where ideas matter and where we can sort of extract the emotion behind it, where we can just sort of sift through the rage bait and the clickbait and try to come up with what the actual consensus is. And we can talk about let's talk consensus. Let's not talk controversy. Let's talk consensus. Let's see where it is we agree before we start spouting off on the places where we don't. And there has never been a greater, we are threatening as a country, and really as a world, to just split apart. We are already sort of surrounding ourselves in our own personal echo chambers. We are already choosing realities that exclude people we don't like or people who make us uncomfortable. And as a result, we do not have the kind of robust dialogue that is necessary for us to be able to move forward and challenge our assumptions and get rid of ideas and facts. Well, you can't get rid of facts, but get rid of the things that are holding us back, that are dividing us, that are keeping us from unifying as a nation and as a world. And hopefully Canonizer.com is a tool that can do that. So, but the goal then becomes, how do we get canonizer.com in front of enough people that they can recognize the strength of this tool?
No, that's a good question. I was gonna say something, and I'm trying to find the facts so we can deal with facts instead of. But I'll give it's close. There was recently a survey, and it said something like, "Is political violence acceptable?" And without getting into political divides and things like that, approximately 80% of the people in America said no. So we've got 80% of the people to work with. So let's not get too worried about the 20%, although it's a 20% and some fraction of that they're actually doing the violence. But we got to find some place for the normal folks to go.
That's
And I think Canonizer's a great place for it. And not just because I'm here, but I was going through trying to find Quora and Facebook and I don't know what else over the last couple of days. It was hard to find.
Yep.
It was hard to find. And eventually I gave up because it was questioning what people. Can I say something as an older person?
Yes, because you're much, much older than I am.
Don't be an idiot and post stupid crap on the internet. Nothing good is going to come from it. Stay looking at your friends' babies or puppies. Don't start talking about who should die next. It's really not good.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely correct. I'm grateful, Kelly, that you and I are able to have these kinds of conversations and still stay friends. Although this is not a conversation where we're really on opposite sides. We've had several conversations where we are. But it becomes...
Can I say, I don't think we're always on the opposite sides. We're looking at the same issue from a different angle, but I don't think that we are that far apart in what we want the end result to be. It might be different on how we're wanting to get there.
Well, that's what I discovered, actually. So when my father lost in 2010, he ran for a fourth term in the United States Senate and was defeated in the Republican convention. And Mike Lee now holds that seat. And when he lost, I ended up going to work I had run my father's campaign, and I went to go to work for Sam Granado, who was the Democrat. I ended up getting more press than Sam Granado did. But at that time in the trenches of Republican politics, that I had convinced myself that Democrats weren't just wrong, they were evil. And they needed to be defeated at all costs. And, these were terrible, evil, awful people. And then when I worked on the campaign, I started going into the campaign office and working alongside all of these people that I didn't know until I started working with them, but had assumed were just terrible, terrible human beings. And lo and behold, I discovered they were not. They were decent, wonderful, kind human beings who simply had different policy preferences from where I was. And I look now at this terrible shooting, and so many people are eager my enemy, that this is the fault of half of the country, as if Jim Bennett enlisted Tyler Robinson to go shoot Charlie Kirk, as if that's something that half of the country wanted and half of the country endorsed, by having this troubled young man go and not even the people close to him wanted this to happen. Not even his transgender partner. They just released a note that he's been writing with his partner, and his transgender partner was absolutely horrified by this. to find some way to blame and indict half the country because of the actions of one terrible human being, that's bad too. And instead of that kind of division, we have to find ways to come together. And that's why we invite everybody who is watching this to please come and join us. Come join us at canonizer.com and find a way to start building rather than tearing down. Let's build consensus, not tear down unity and create division. And canonizer.com is a place to do that. Please come and join us in that effort. So, Kelly, any other parting words or anything else you want to discuss?
Amen.
All right. So with that, we will bring this to a close. Thank you all, and we will see you next time on Consensus with Canonizer.